So growth and learning, growth and learning. That's what you're going to focus on with these questions in the beginning of an interview about your past jobs. Let's talk about even more stress. More stress. What if they ask you this question? This is a high stress question. Were you ever asked to resign? Were you ever asked to resign? They might even do this, fold their arms, kind of look unfriendly. Were you ever asked to resign from a past job? So resign means to quit, right? Were you asked to resign, right? That means your boss, this is basically being fired, right? Okay, if you're asked to resign, it's a nice way to fire you. But here's the thing. If they ask you to resign and then you resign, you're not actually being fired, okay? The company is giving you a chance to leave without being fired, okay? So even if they ask you to resign, you can say no to this question. It's totally fine to say no to this question because it's not really a fair question. If they ask you to resign and then you do resign, you were not technically fired. So the answer to this question is always no. Always say no. If they say, were you ever asked to resign from a past job? Just say no. Because they're basically asking you, were you fired? And if the answer is no, then say no. Now, here's the more difficult question. This is the really high stress question. Were you ever fired? Were you ever fired from a job? You don't want to lie about this. So what can you do? What if you were fired? What if you were fired from a past job? What can you do about this? Because that's a hard question. Yes, I was. And then guess what? Their next question is, why? Why were you fired? Then you start talking about negative stuff about you, or you're going to say negative stuff about the company. Both of those are bad. So you really don't want to answer yes to this question. So what can you do? What if you were fired? What if you were fired from a past job? You need to do something that's maybe a little difficult. Maybe you don't want to do, but you need to do it. You need to think about that past job where you were fired. Maybe the boss was a jerk. You hated them. Maybe they treated you badly. But for your own career, you need to swallow or just let go of your pride. And you need to think, okay, what did I do at the past job that was not good? How was I responsible? What was my part that was bad? Why did they fire me? And think about it and be really honest about, what you did wrong or possibly did wrong. Then the next step is, this is the hard part. You need to call your old job. Call the old job. Call the old boss. And talk to them. What do you say? You say, hi, you tell your name. Hi, this is AJ. I used to work for you. Maybe they remember you. Maybe they don't. If it was a short time, they will remember. If it was a long time, maybe they forgot. So remind them. Say, I worked for you, and you fired me. And first, I just want to apologize. I want to apologize to you. So apologize to them. And then again, give an example. Give an example of why. Tell them why. Be responsible. So you would say, I want to apologize to you. I'm sorry. I know that I caused you problems at the job. And be specific. I did this, and I'm very sorry. I'm sorry that I, was a difficult employee. I'm sorry if I caused problems. I understand, this is important, say, I understand you had to fire me. I understand why you fired me and that it was necessary. Now, this is going to be hard to say this maybe, okay? Maybe you don't really want to say this because, it's like, maybe you're angry. Maybe you're upset about what happened. Maybe, there are many different possibilities. But the truth is that you got to say this. You got to do this. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Why are we doing this? Even though it's no fun. So you're going to apologize. You're going to apologize and you're going to be very specific and you're going to tell them, I understand. This is very important. You must say this. I understand why you fired me. I understand why. I understand you had to fire me, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So you want to get your old boss feeling better about you. Okay? Then your next question, when you feel like, let him talk. Let the old boss talk, or her talk, and say what they need to say, even if they're not nice to you. Just keep apologizing. I know it's hard, but do it. This is why. Because the next part, when you feel like they get out their emotion, when you feel like they're sounding better, what you need to say is, you need to be honest. Say, look, I'm looking for new jobs now. I'm job interviewing. And the problem is, they ask me about my past jobs, and they ask if I was fired, and it's really difficult. It makes my interviews very difficult. It's harder for me, more difficult for me to find a new job. So, say to your old boss, say, if someone called you, if someone called you for a reference, if someone called you, would you tell them that I was fired, or would you tell them that I resigned, that I quit? Ask them this, right? Would you tell them that I resigned? Would you tell them that I quit, that I just quit? Now, most people, most old bosses will say, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll just tell them that you resigned. I'll tell them that you quit, right? If you apologize, if you really let them talk, if you are specific, if you tell them, I'm sorry, I know I did this, give examples. I made your job difficult as my boss. I'm very sorry. If you're really, really good with your apology and you listen and let them talk, most people are good human beings generally. Most of them will say, okay, fine. I won't say you were fired. I will just say you quit, that you resigned. So this is important. This is so important, because then when they're on your resume, right? If they call, they will not say that you were fired. And why is that important? Well, it's important because then it means that for this question, if they say, were you fired? You can say no. You can honestly say no, because your old boss is not going to say that you were fired. Your old boss is going to say, no, he just resigned. So you can avoid this question. You can avoid this quite difficult situation, but you must get rid of your pride. You must let go of your pride, and you must call your old boss and make a good relationship, a good connection. It's not easy if you were fired, but you really need to do this because it will help. Okay, because this is a very, very tough question. And if you have to talk about being fired, man, you're in trouble. Okay, honestly, there's no good way to talk about that. There just is not. So the much better way to handle this question, were you ever fired, is to be able to say no. And to honestly say no, you need to go back and talk to your old boss and have your old boss agree that, okay, yes, I will say you resigned. Right? So that's what you need to do. Okay. So there you go. From the easy to the difficult. Questions about old jobs in English. Let's go to questions. We're live now on YouTube, so let's take some questions. What are your questions? Do you have questions or comments about these job interview questions? Questions about old jobs. Questions about old jobs. Live on YouTube. Lots of people saying hello. Okay, we'll get to this. You're asking about, like, what if an interviewer asks about my weakness or my strong points, what should I answer? I will discuss this in a future show. There are a lot of possible questions, right? There are many questions in job interviews, so I can't do all of them in one show. So we're going to go through. I'm calling this the Effortless English Job Club. This kind of show, the Effortless English Job Club. And in the Job Club, we will talk about job interviewing, getting new jobs. So today, past jobs, questions about past jobs. Other questions we'll discuss later.